If you want the Raiders to bring back Josh Jacobs, I think you're really going to like today's show. Hit the like button right now. It's not too often where the even question is out there for a running back with over 2,000 total yards last season. So coming up here on the Raiders Report, I'm Mitchell Renz, host of the number one most watched Raiders show in the world. Franchise tag, is it coming up here for the silver and black? We got to remember that the franchise tag window, it is right around the corner. The franchise tag window in the NFL is from February 21st to March 7th at 4 p.m. Eastern time. So the Las Vegas Raiders, if they want to get a deal done with arguably the best running back in the league, they got to do it in this window. If you franchise tag number 28, it's going to cost you $10.9 million. And I have said for a long time that I believe the best thing to do is to put the non-exclusive tag on him. Does that mean other teams can negotiate? Yes, it does. But it also means if another team were to offer him a bag and then he decides to go there, the Raiders would get 2 first-round picks. I love Jacobs. Hope he's a Raider. But at the end of the day, if you can get 2 first-round picks for your running back, I do think it's something that you should at least entertain. But for a long time, the question is brought up. Josh, would you even entertain the idea of signing a franchise tag? Chris Sims interviewed Jacobs, and he tweeted out back on February 9th, Raiders running back Josh Jacobs told us he'd be okay to play on the franchise tag, but only if the team loaded up all the other positions and added players around him. But if you want me to come back as the hero, you better pay me like the hero. So the more and more I looked at that quote, and the more and more I thought of everything that Chris Sims said, first takeaway was Jacobs to me is okay being tagged if the Raiders go out and they try to win football games. Like he's saying, all right, man, you going to put me at 10.9 mil? Cool. But you better get me a quarterback. You better build a freaking defense. We better be in win now mode because I believe I deserve to make more money. I believe I am worth more than $10.9 million a year, so I am willing to take less money if it means actually winning some football games. But then the other part is, he said this, if you want me to come back as the hero, you better pay me like a hero, which I think that is, if you're going to have him as the bell cow, and he's going to be the main guy in the offense where you go 6'11 again, guess what? You better pay him. So I understand that as $10.9 million, you load up around your franchise tag, or you give him a bag, and then you let him be the bell cow, but then, I don't know, maybe you don't win as many football games. In terms of how much money is it going to take to get Jacobs in terms of a contract extension, if I'm Jacobs, I'm looking north of $12.6 million, which is what Dalvin Cook has gotten. There's been reports out there around Saquon Barkley. That's going to be another running back that a lot of Raider fans should look at because I do think Barkley gets a little bit more, and I do think that there's a chance that Barkley ends up getting like $14 million a year. I don't see any running back going over Christian McCaffrey's $16 million. They're going to be somewhere between Ezekiel Elliott and Dalvin Cook, but we got to be real. NFL teams that are a running back away, that's usually when you see them sign a big-time deal. If you're not a running back away, a lot of times it might not make any sense. So this is going to be the pinned comment on today's show because this is all around this question here. If you were the Raiders, what would you do? Would you franchise tag Josh Jacobs? Would you extend him? Would you let him walk? You're going to get hit with the YouTube ad break, so scroll on down and let me know. If I'm the Raiders, you could give him a 3-year extension, and then you could backload it if you decide to go all in on a season. Again, I am team franchise tag. I just think it makes the most sense for the Raiders in the current realm that we are living in, where if Jacobs is 100% healthy and he's going to be healthy for 3 years, extend him. You can franchise tag him. You have him very motivated yet again, and then he's ready to rock and roll. In terms of the 3-year extension, and then you could backload it if you want, the reason why I bring up this idea is because the Raiders have already backloaded contracts. And the way that you see them in terms of navigating deals that they have already completed, I think one of the best deals to look at is the Davante Adams contract. So when you look at Adams' contract that he has with the Raiders, that's what they did. They backloaded it. So in 2022, Adams made $12.21 million in terms of salary cap. That was 8.7%. As you can see, the more years Davante Adams is a member of the Las Vegas Raiders, it continues to go up and up and up, the cap percentage. So if you're the Raiders and you want to go all in, this season. What if you gave Jacobs a contract extension? You gave him a 3-year deal, and he's got a very small cap hit in 2023, but then he makes more in 2024 and 2025. It is a risk, but if you're in a win-now type of state of mind where it doesn't matter what happens in 2024 and 2025, because if we don't win in 2023, we're never going to get there, I do think it's something that the Raiders could potentially look at. So my question to you, and we're going to be bringing it up here, is will the Raiders bring back Josh Jacobs? I'm going to give some scenarios in terms of 5 reasons why you should do it and why I think the Raiders would do it. And then I'm going to give you 5 reasons of why the Raiders might decide not to do it. So my birthday, y'all, for some of you that do not know, is on February 20th, and I am really trying to get to 134,000 subs. We get wild on these shows. I put a lot of commitment, a lot of time into this, and I get it. All I ask is this: if you respect what we do and you want to say thank you, the easiest way to do it is to hit the subscribe button and tune in to all of our shows. So the Raiders will bring back Josh Jacobs. This is 5 reasons, essentially, why I could see them doing it. He's the best running back in the NFL. What I saw last year, if you get that guy again, if you can find a player who can give you 2,000 total yards, lead the NFL in rushing, and then on top of that, lead the NFL in first down runs, moving the chains, guess what? It's important. And last season in an offense, like, let's be real, the Raiders' offense was not what we were hoping for. And these are the numbers he put up. If you get a guy like Aaron Rodgers or another quarterback that's a little bit better in the red zone, these numbers could even go up even more. I mean, 1,653 rushing yards on 340 carries, that is a bell cow back. These type of dudes don't grow on trees. And that's a big reason why you should try to bring back Josh Jacobs. Josh McDaniels loves him. And we have heard McDaniels express how much he respects how hard Jacobs works, but also how hard Jacobs runs. There was a quote early in November last offseason where he's like, this guy never wants to come off the field. Paul Gutierrez had this to say on the Raiders re-signing Josh Jacobs. This was a little bit earlier in the offseason. The All-Pro became just the second Raiders player to lead the NFL in rushing, joining Marcus Allen. Even though Las Vegas chose to not pick up his 5th-year option last offseason, Coach Josh McDaniels said he would love to have Jacobs return. Well, I hear that, and I would say, guess what? I'd love to have Josh Jacobs back too. The next thing, Jacobs wants to be a Raider. How often do we come up here on this show and we say, I want a guy that when they put on that silver and black jersey, when they rep the shield, they wear it with pride. And there's a lot of NFL teams out there, but I think Raider Nation takes it a little bit more to heart. Putting on that jersey, put on those cleats, doing this, making millions of dollars, you should be able to respect that. Josh Jacobs literally has the Raiders emblem, the shield, tattooed on him. So, like, I know for a fact that Jacobs wants to be a member of the Las Vegas Raiders. And I mean, shit, he's already even said it this offseason. For me, it's got to make sense. But this is obviously where I want to be. Coming in, I remember sitting down with Max Crosby and all these guys talking about the Raiders organization and the culture and wanting to be a part of the change. I still feel that way, so hopefully I'll be back. I know all Raider fans speak. We all hope JJ's back as well. Then, the next reason why you'd bring him back, you're in all-in mode. If you're in all-in mode, that means Jacobs is back. No disrespect to all the other running backs on the Raiders roster, you're not going to get an upgrade over Jacobs. No disrespect to all the other running backs in the NFL in the draft. You're not going to get somebody better than JJ. Is it going to cost you more money? Yes. Am I typically against paying running backs? Yes. But if you're sitting here right now saying, what gives us the best chance to win football games in 2023? Because I know this, if my job was on the line and it was, hey, your job's on the line, if the Raiders don't make the playoffs, you better go find something else to do. I'd put the best running back in the NFL on my team as well. The next thing is, no matter who the new quarterback is, you need a running game. If it's 39-year-old Aaron Rodgers, you're going to need a good running game. You go back and you look at a lot of the really solid years Rodgers had in terms of MVP, deep Super Bowl runs. They had a game where he could also rely on the run. And Josh McDaniels' offense, need a good running back. You want to take pressure off your bad defense? Need a good running back. If you're planning on bringing in a guy like Jimmy Garoppolo, a game manager, you need a good running back. You want to have a rookie and they don't have a good running game? Just feed them to the wolves already. These are all the reasons why I think if the Raiders want to, they will bring back Josh Jacobs. Now, before we get into all the reasons why the Raiders wouldn't bring back Jacobs. I got to say a huge super thanks to Christopher Leonard, C-Hop, Paul, Mark, and Married Mechanics. I don't know what's going on over there. So when you think about super thanks, y'all, we appreciate everyone who can tune in and watch the show. And they have this feature where you can donate outside of live shows. You can click the thanks icon. We appreciate your support. Super thanks equals a shout out. So if you end up doing that, you will see your name here on a show. So here are some reasons why the Raiders won't bring back Josh Jacobs. I've never seen the Patriots pay running backs. Does it make me nervous? Yes. Is it one of the reasons why they probably declined the fifth-year option? No doubt. We also know that New England likes to cycle through backs continuously. I'll also admit this, though. History showed us that entering the year, Josh wouldn't lead the league, and especially the Raiders, in rushing. Why do I say that? Because you go back, you look at a lot of New England backfields. There's never been a player that's led the same team 4 straight years in New England backfields. Josh has been the leading rusher for the Raiders 4 straight years. If the Raiders try to rebuild, if you go to rebuild mode, it does not make sense to pay a running back $10.9 million. It just simply doesn't. You save your money, you try to invest in other positions, you try to get ready to go all in on a quarterback next season. The Raiders drafted Zamir White. I like Zamir White. I don't love him, and I don't think that the Raiders love him in particularly either. There's a reason why Amir Abdullah was getting run. There's a reason why Brandon Bolden was. There's a reason why Zamir White in some games was a healthy scratch. He's good. He's not even close to Jacobs, though. Also, I'll say this. Damian Harris is a free agent. Think about how many times we've brought up names like, I don't know, Mac Jones, for example. Damian Harris was drafted by Dave Ziegler, was drafted and ran pretty well in Josh McDaniels' offense. Hell, you want to talk about comparisons, right? We look at Mac Jones 2021 to 2022. Damian Harris is absolutely a running back, and the Raiders have already brought in past Patriots backs as well. Sure, Jacob Johnson, free agent. Sure, Brandon Bolden, I don't think he's very good. But Damian Harris, back in 2021, when he ran in an offense led by Josh McDaniels, 202 carries, 929 yards, 15 touchdowns. And he's actually coming off a little bit of a bad year. So if you're sitting down as an organization, you're like, well, could I get Damian Harris for $3 million a year? And the last time that we played with him, he had 15 touchdowns. We could go that route, or we pay Josh Jacobs coming off the year that he did. It just comes down to what exactly Las Vegas wants to spend on. And then the last one is this. Team offers them bag / a trade. Like, if you're the Raiders and you place the non-exclusive tag on him, and then another team says, hey, we're going to give him more money, and we're willing to give you 2 first-round picks, that's the last and final scenario of why the Raiders wouldn't bring him back. So my question to you is this. Will the Raiders bring back Josh Jacobs? I asked you early on by hitting that like button if you wanted them back or what you think's going to happen. Here's your opportunity. Like, I always give my predictions. I do think the Raiders are going to bring him back, but if you don't, let me know. Type your N for no. I do want the Raiders to win now, so because of that, my answer is yes. But the way, if they want to go in rebuild mode, then to me it's a no. So it does simply come down to that. It's funny that Graf's been tuning into this live show, and I sat down with him, and he actually had the opportunity at the Pro Bowl to talk to Jacobs. And he asked Jacobs, do you want to stay here? And he did. He told him straight up, yes, I want to be able to stay a Raider. So he's telling the media, but then he's also telling Raiders YouTubers who are tied in and Raider fans. Like, that's the type of shit that I want to hear. He's got it tatted on him. He's telling Raider fans. He's telling the media. It sounds like the same message. I want to be a Raider, but I also want to be paid how I deserve to be paid, which I think we can all agree on that. So if the Raiders are trying to just win, baby, they should bring back Josh Jacobs. That's essentially how I'm going to wrap up today's show. If your plan is to win in 2023, you better have number 28 in your backfield. If you're planning on trying to rebuild and then look forward, then I can understand the Raiders not potentially bringing him back.